Good morning, everyone. Today is a day for all of us to gather to remind ourselves who we are, how we're doing, the state of the college, and where we're going. This is frankly pretty serious and dense material, and I really appreciate all of you having the interest in the college and the commitment to the college to come here and spend this time with me talking about the state of the college. I know that some of the students here may have class assignments related to what we're talking about today, and I do want to remind you, if you look up at the front, that my notes for today's presentation will be available later today at that website if that helps you. The first chair of the East Georgia State College Foundation was the woman after whom our student center, the JAM, is named, Jean Anderson Morgan. Jean resided in Swainsboro for over 40 years with her husband, Jimmy. After Jimmy's death and shortly before Jean's recent death, Jean moved to Tennessee to be with her family. Recently, a large part of our community came to this auditorium for an amazing celebration of Jean's life. So we're sitting in that auditorium, the Luck Flanders Gambrell Auditorium. Luck Gambrell was married to Senator David Gambrell, and she donated the land on which this college sits. Recently, her family gave our foundation an additional 138 acres of land. Some of the students here today are Correll Scholars. The scholarships you are receiving are available because of a donation by Pete and Adalee Correll. Also, many of you passed the Fulford Learning Center on your way here this morning. That's also the result of a donation by Pete and Adalee Correll. Now, this morning, we're talking about the state of the college, and I think it's important to recognize that the state of the college is good in significant part because of the role that people like Jean Morgan, Luck Gambrell, and Adalee Correll have made to this college. Now, even though the state of our college is really good, higher education in the United States is currently undergoing a period of incredibly rapid transformation and change. So today, we've got to have a serious discussion about how to respond to that change. So let's get started. Across the United States, students in rural high schools are really doing quite well. Following high school, however, far fewer rural high school students are choosing college than their urban and suburban counterparts. Those who are going to college are graduating from college at lower rates than the urban and suburban students. It's East Georgia State College's mission to understand why that's happening, to provide access to more students like these amazing students, and then to graduate them at higher rates. That's what we've got to talk about today. This is a complex and it's a difficult question. However, it's critical to the economic and social viability of our amazing region. My challenge to you today, as a community, and we are a community, a family, are we willing to do the hard work necessary to build on and retain our culture of providing a high-quality education with a personal touch, but at the same time changing dramatically to become a nationwide leader in meeting the unique and emerging needs of students in rural America? They need access to an affordable college education which prepares them for a digitized, automated future workplace. Now, before I start talking about that, I want to extend my really sincere thanks to each of you for being part of the East Georgia State College Bobcat family. If you're a student, you chose to come here. If you're a staff or a faculty member, you chose to make this passion for access your working life. If you're a member of the community, like the past chair of our foundation, Mr. Denny Key, or the current chair of our foundation, Mr. Richard McNeely, who are both here today, you made a choice to devote a lot of your valuable time to the East Georgia State College Bobcat family. Every day, I deeply appreciate the choice all of you have made. What you have chosen is critical to the future of this region, and it makes a real difference. So let's begin our discussion by reminding ourselves about the unique mission of East Georgia State College. Simply put, our mission is access. I am deeply proud that we're a state college in the university system of Georgia with the mission of providing access to an affordable, high-quality college education to anyone with a high school diploma and the willingness to do the hard work necessary to earn a college degree. I say this over and over again, but I mean this very sincerely. I simply cannot imagine any role in higher education today which is more important to the future of this country and the future of this region than the role of a person who chooses to be part of the faculty or the staff of a rural access institution. You are to be congratulated for that. Now, think for a moment as I say that about the myriad of challenges that the students sitting in this room today are facing that we didn't face when we were in their same seats. They're preparing for careers that have not even been invented yet. Artificial intelligence, automated workplaces. The world and technology is changing at warp speed. They're facing climate change. They're facing increasing level of violence in society. The list goes on and on. How are these students, and specifically the students in our region, going to meet those challenges? How's our region going to meet those challenges unless more students make the choice that all of you students have been made, which is to pursue an education? This is our niche at East Georgia State College. We're not here to be a highly selective institution. We're not here to provide every degree on a menu of comprehensive degree programs that's available at larger universities. We're here to provide access to a nationwide system of higher education. We're the front door. We're the most convenient, most affordable point of access to that system for the amazing students in this room. We're here to be a leader in the nation in increasing college enrollment and graduation in rural America. Now, I recognize when I say that not every student in rural America needs to choose to go to college. Some should pursue a military career. Some may go directly into the workforce. However, we need to dramatically improve the number of students in rural America who are making the choice that you made to go to college. And even more importantly, we need to dramatically increase the percentage of these students who successfully graduate. Our continued success, our viability as East Georgia State College depends on a laser-like focus on that mission. If we lose sight of that, if we lose our passion for that, we won't survive and remain viable in the future. Now, in carrying out this really important mission, it's critical that each of us really understand and think about the demographics of this region that we all live in and love, the 27 counties surrounding our 3 campuses. Now, to understand that, let's first look through the window of computer and internet access, because I think the students, more than any of us, all know that computer ownership and internet access are your window on the world. If you don't have it, it's hard to succeed. Now, in the United States, 87% of households have a computer. 78% have broadband internet access. In Georgia, as a state, the percentages are pretty much the same. In our 27-county region, by contrast, only 77% of households have a computer, and only 63% have a broadband internet subscription. In one county in our region, only 62% of households have a computer, and only 40% have broadband internet access. Now, let's look at this through another window, educational attainment. In the United States as a whole, as I said earlier, high school graduation rates are pretty good. 87% of the population over 25 are high school graduates or better. Almost 31% have a bachelor's degree. In Georgia, the comparable percentages are 86% and just under 30%. We hold up pretty well in this region in terms of high school graduation rates. but only about 17% have a bachelor's degree or higher. In one county in this region, the percentage of adults holding a bachelor's degree is under 12%. Consider next the number of students who have enrolled in post-secondary education within 16 months of graduation from high school and who have gone on and finished at least 1 year of college in their first 2 years. Now, in the last year for which data is available, there were 90,500 high school graduates in Georgia. And the percentage of students who had gone on to higher education and finished at least a year was in the mid-40s. The rate is substantially lower in our region. It's right around 40%. As I said earlier, something's disconnected, folks. Something between the point of graduation from high school and that completion of a college degree isn't happening at a rate that we're all comfortable with. And we really need to address that disconnect because it has some very real consequences. Now, I know that there's a lot of factors that contribute to poverty, low income, in addition to education, but consider the low rates of educational attainment in our region and these numbers. In the United States, median household income is around $57,000. Percent of persons in poverty, it's around 12. In Georgia, $52,000 median family income, and about 15% in poverty. Look at our 27-county region. Median family income, $41,000. Percent of persons in poverty, 22%. In one county in our region, the median household income is about $27,000, and the percent of persons in poverty is 33%. As we do our work every day, we need to take those numbers into account. Our students, in significant part, come from families with less financial resources, less access to information, and a far less extensive family history of college completion than their counterparts. This is the group of students that we have chosen to serve. That's our passion. That's our mission. They are every bit as bright and motivated as their counterparts at more selective institutions. Our mission, students, faculty, staff, community, our mission is to find ways to make sure that those amazing students are graduating, they're choosing college and graduating at just as high a rate as their counterparts in the urban and suburban areas. Now, as we carry out that mission, we also need to recognize that we serve a really diverse population of students at East Georgia State College. Fall of 2018, 44.7% of our students Caucasian, 43.4% African American. footnote, but an important footnote, 0.8% Hispanic. This diversity, which reflects the community we live in many ways, is one of our great strengths. But could it be enhanced further if our efforts to reach Hispanic students in our region intensified and was more reflective of the population of Hispanics living in our community? Now, in addition to supplying graduates to fuel the workforce in our region and to keep us economically and socially viable, we also need to bear in mind that our decisions about the future of the college have a really direct impact on our region as a result of the impact of the jobs provided by East Georgia State College and the money that those people that are earning wages here spend in the community. That's what people call the multiplier effect. In the most recent year, measured by the University of Georgia, 2018, East Georgia State College had an economic impact of $81 million in our region. We have a responsibility to continue to grow this college, for our enrollment to continue to increase in order that the region surrounding the college and our two external campuses can continue to benefit from that economic impact. Remaining small has some evident virtues, but you know what? It just doesn't produce enough graduates. It doesn't allow us to keep increasing that economic impact on this community. And it frankly doesn't produce the revenue we need to remain viable. So enrollment pressure, enrollment growth is a fact of life. Now, let's talk about this because this is a big challenge for East Georgia State College. It's a challenge, number one, because we live in a region in which there's quite a few outstanding institutions of higher education. You've got Georgia Southern, you've got Augusta University, Savannah State, College of Coastal Georgia, Middle Georgia State University, Ogeechee Tech, Southeastern Tech. Students have a lot of choices, and that's an asset of our region. But choices like that present East Georgia with a challenge when population growth in our region is relatively flat. Consider that the U.S. population from 2010 to 18 grew about 6%. Georgia grew 8.6%. In our region, population growth was relatively flat, under 3%. In fact, in 15 counties in our region, population actually declined during that period. So you can see the challenge. Now, you can also see the impact of this on the enrollment of the institutions in this region. In fall of 2018, 4 out of 6 of the University System of Georgia institutions in this region experienced enrollment declines. At one institution, that decline was almost 8%. Now, in addition to the impact of low population growth in our region on our enrollment, consider the impact that the growth in institutions in other colleges and universities in the state has on our enrollment. Now, to illustrate that, in fall of 2018, the whole university system of Georgia, 26 institutions, enrollment grew 1.1%, but it grew 4.6% at the big research institutions, the institutions with large student populations. Well, as a result, enrollment declined by 3.1% at the institutions in Georgia like East Georgia State College. Now, we did well in that picture because our enrollment fall of 18 was less than the average. Our enrollment decline was only 2%. But you can see that our institution needs to find ways to continue to grow, but we're facing a real challenge in that area. Now, consider a few things that the college has done to maintain our enrollment during these challenging times. Dual enrollment. If you go back to 2009, we didn't have dually enrolled students. We've now got around 400. Consider the growth in online enrollment. Well, fall of 2009, we had 64. Now we're up to the mid-300s in wholly online enrollment. Consider our residence halls. Go back to fall of 2011, the number of beds on campus was 0. It's now 432. There's a real obvious lesson here about enrollment at an institution like East Georgia State College. As the external environment changes, we've got to be willing to roll with the punches and make changes. Imagine what our enrollment might be, even with this flat enrollment in this area, if we begin to focus more, in addition to our current students, if we begin to focus more on recruiting Hispanic students, recruiting the growing number of military personnel in the region, recruiting the number of adult learners who've got some college but they've never finished a degree, recruiting those students who might want to take wholly online programs. We really need to look at our response to change in the past and say, that's what's allowed us to survive and remain viable in this difficult higher education climate. But it's not going to be enough to just say, well, we did well. We've got to now take the next step and reach out to those other types of students who need access to college. Now, talking about enrollment leads, obviously, to a discussion about money, the budget. Let's go right to the heart of the matter. This is fall of 2019, and this year, enrollment numbers are not final, but we're anticipating that final enrollment will be 5% less than last year. The bottom line is that despite that potential 5% enrollment drop this year, our budget is sound. The reason is that the college's budget has been managed prudently in the past, and we've made really difficult budgetary decisions to put us in a position to survive and thrive when we hit bumps in the road like this likely 5% drop this fall. As an example, we went through, and the faculty and staff who are here know this well, we went through an internal plan of reorganization early in 2018 that saved us about $850,000 per year in ongoing expenses. In addition, the money that we get from the state, our state appropriation, increased modestly this year from around $9,850,000 up to about $10,125,000. This increase in state funding, together with the past prudent budget management, is going to enable us to get through the year together quite well. But we do have to recognize the budget realities of the economy that we're living in as we look towards the years after that. Let me mention a few of those budget realities. And I want you to listen to this one real carefully. Sounds a little geeky, but the state of Georgia has a system for funding colleges and universities that's called formula funding. Now, that formula funding means that the money we get depends in large part on enrollment and credit hours. Now, our state allocation, East Georgia's, for FY20 was $3,071 per full-time equivalent student. If you look at those 26 institutions in the university system of Georgia and look at the average funding level, it was $6,536. So one reality that we face is that our funding per student from the state is lower than funding for larger institutions across the state per student. Second reality is I think that all of you who have been following the news know that the governor has directed all state agencies to plan for a budget cut this year. At this point in time, colleges and universities have been exempted from that. But we do not know if that's going to continue, so we got to be prudent in our spending this year in case that statewide budget cut is passed on to the colleges and universities. The next thing that we have to recognize is that formula funding means that our FY 2020 budget is based in large part on our fall 18 enrollment. And so we can anticipate a budget cut of approximately $200,000 in state funds next year. All right, now, I want everyone to look at that and understand the reality. The good news is that we've been smart in the past so we can survive these difficult periods. But the lesson to us is we got to be prudent in our spending this year to be able to get over this speed bump. All right, now, what I'd like you to focus on now for a few minutes, since we've talked about that really cheery budget topic, is I'd like to focus for a few minutes on some of the big successes at the college last year. All right? First one is our Jam Center students. Early in spring 2020, we're going to celebrate the opening of 15,000 square feet of badly needed new space in the Jam Center. For those of you who are listening in Statesboro today, you know that the legislature has approved funding for a new location for East Georgia College Statesboro, which will be on the Georgia Southern University campus. For those of you who are listening in Augusta, you know that we've recently moved into newly remodeled space on the Augusta University campus that will greatly improve the learning environment for faculty, staff, and students there. Last year, we started 2 new programs on this campus. And as I look at faculty and staff and students, I see many of you who personally participated in our new student leadership development program and our new staff development program. I'm extremely proud of that. I'm also really proud of our academic programs. You know, if you look back 10 years, do you know how many degrees were available at East Georgia? The answer is 1. You could earn an associate's degree at East Georgia State College. We now have a full range of associate degrees in various disciplinary distinctions. We have a certificate program. We also have bachelor's programs in biology. We've got a bachelor's program in Fire and Emergency Services Administration, and our newest program, a nursing program, an online RN to BSN program. So we've made dramatic growth in the programs we offer to our students, and our new bachelor's programs are doing great. Our biology program is growing in terms of student body, and we're now proud to host a chapter of Beta Beta Beta, the National Honor Society for Biology. Our Fire and Emergency Services Administration program is ranked as the most affordable online fire and emergency services program in the country, and it's accredited. Our nursing program was recently accredited by the Accreditation Commission for Education in Nursing, and it was ranked as the most affordable program of its type in the nation. So that's just a smattering of what the colleges, what the college has accomplished in the last year. So obviously the question is, what's on our plate for the coming year? I see three really big priorities. Number one is our reaccreditation. That's what's called reaffirmation of accreditation by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. Getting that done is a big deal. The second is increasing enrollment and increasing our retention, graduation, and overall academic success rate. And the third is raising even more money from private sources. Let's talk quickly about that reaccreditation first. The importance of that reaccreditation process can't be overstated. Students, it determines the value of the degrees we grant to you. Entire East Georgia State College community, it determines the reputation of this place and our ability to award student financial aid. We've got two really big tasks this year. One is we have to adopt what the accreditors call a quality enhancement plan. And second, we've got to do a compliance certification and file it with our accreditor in March. Now, both of those tasks are incredibly time-consuming and intensive. The visiting SACS, Commission on Colleges team that's going to evaluate all that work is going to be here on campus October 6 to 8 of 2020. So we've got a lot of work to do. While we're doing that work, we've got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, because that reaccreditation process has the potential to consume all our time. But we've got to move forward in recruiting new students and in retraining and graduating and successfully transferring our existing students. Now, I want to share one number with you in that respect. Our graduation rates have improved over the years. For example, our 6-year graduation rate went from 11.7% for the 2007 cohort to 17.3% for the 2012 cohort. Now, that's a lot of progress. I want you to ask yourself, does more need to be made? And I think the answer is clearly yes. But the second thing I want you to think about is, how should we as a community be defining our academic success? We should be defining it not by graduation rates alone. We should be defining it by graduation rates plus successful transfer rates. Now, in addition to doing that, we need to recruit more students. One of the ways that we're going to do that is it is going to be a very high priority to obtain approval to offer a 4th bachelor's degree beginning in fall of 2020. I hope that that approval will be granted for a degree in healthcare administration, and the following year we need to obtain approval to offer a bachelor's degree in business. All right, now, as these new degree programs are created, and I want the faculty and our administrators to hear me really clearly on this. I don't want those programs just to be mirror images of similar programs offered elsewhere in the United States. They need to be something that really responds to the changing workplace that all of these students are facing. We've got to create partnerships with employers in the region for each of those programs so that the coursework extends beyond the classroom into the workplace. We've got to integrate career development and internships into both of those new programs. We've got to recognize that these students aren't being evaluated for new jobs anymore based on the degree that they earn. What are employers doing? They're saying, we're going to administer a skills-based assessment to you to find out whether you get that new job. We want a degree, plus we want you to do well on our skills-based assessment. We've got to build that into the curriculum so our students compete well in the marketplace for jobs. We've got to allow our students to stack credentials. You shouldn't just come here as a freshman and be working towards a bachelor's degree. You ought to be able to earn a certificate, and then an associate's degree, and then a bachelor's degree so that you can stack credentials along the way. We've got to integrate hard skills like the software platforms these students are going to be using in the workplace into the curriculum, along with that liberal arts curriculum that we're so good at. You know what people are calling this across the country? They're calling this liberal arts plus. We need to do liberal arts plus. We don't have to give up what we're great at, but we've got to recognize that these students are facing a very different workplace. And finally, we've got to schedule our courses. So the courses are scheduled at the time that these students, adult students in the community, military personnel, so that all of those students can complete a degree in a reasonable amount of time. That means flexible course scheduling. Now, our third priority for the year is increasing fundraising from external sources. Now, you all heard me mention at the start Jean Anderson Morgan. Jean, when she was the first chair of our foundation, what were the assets of the foundation? They were zero. What were the assets of the foundation by about 2012? Well, they were just under $1 million. What are the assets of the foundation now? Well, they're almost $3 million. That money that's in the foundation enables us to do things for these students that we can't do with just tuition dollars and state allocation. Our foundation, for example, this semester poured $50,000 additional into need-based scholarships, which went to students like the ones in this room so that they've got the ability to go to college. So what our foundation has been able to do now has been amazing. One of the keys to our success in the future is to do even more. And that has to be one of our big priorities for the coming year. Now, you guys have stuck with me for a long time, and I really appreciate it. But at the beginning of this presentation, I asked you this question. I said, as a community, are we willing to do the hard work necessary to build on and retain that special culture of high-quality education with a personal touch, while simultaneously changing dramatically to become a nationwide leader in meeting the unique and emerging needs of students in rural America? Now, I think you can all agree with me, listening to this long presentation, that that's a lot of work. But I've been here 8 years now, and I've grown to love this college and this community. And I believe in this college, in this community. And I think that when all of you think about that question tonight at home, you'll come back tomorrow and say, yes, we are willing to do the hard work, because the success of these amazing students and the viability of this great community depends on it. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.